This little piece of advice that I'm going to give you is going to elevate your game drastically just by me telling you to and you following the rule that I'm going to give you. When I discovered this, which is the simplest thing in the world, but when I discovered this, people started giving me compliments when I was soloing. My bandmates were more happy with what I did. It was just incredible what it is, and it's so simple, and you don't need to practice to make it happen. Perhaps you have to unlearn what you've been doing, but it's so simple. It is the following. When you perform, play solos in front of others. Don't ever venture out into stuff that you don't know. Always play 100% the thing you are 100% certain that you can 100% play. Right? So if that is one note, rhythmically, you must have the rhythm under control, you must have the phrasing under control, the notes, the scale under control, and never go to a place where you feel uncertain. It's the same thing with practicing alternate picking or any other skill, is that you stay in that zone where you can actually do it. But here, it's when you perform. If you'll do that, then suddenly you'll have much more room in your mind to play something that actually follows the chords. You'll have much more peace because you're not scrambling for notes. You may be playing one note, then waiting, then playing the same note again, right? Because it dawned on me at one point in my development, after I've been practicing a lot of technique and stuff like that, when I looked at B.B. King, I said, why is he so well known? Why is he such a great blues player? Because what he does is, right, that kind of stuff, and it suddenly it became a discipline, right, to play like B.B. King, to have that kind of simplicity, but to put all the details I could into that simplicity. So instead of having complexity, then I had simplicity, but then the complex was in the details, just like with an instrument, right? You got a cheap guitar, you got an expensive guitar. And when you're new to guitars, you can't see the difference. But we know that when we've been playing for some while, that it's the neck, it's the feel, it's the frets, it's the resonance of the body, it's all the details, right, of it. And once you start focusing 100% on playing 100% things that you 100% know that you can actually play without making even one mistake in your solos, everything changes. You have to lower the standard for how complex your solos are. But, listen to the pros, right? And then start really mastering just one or two notes, because that's going to change everything. Right? It's just amazing what it does. The next piece of advice is when you do practice and you push, you try to play something cool, right? And then you fail. Then what you do is that you stop. You either let the track run and then you play it over and over again with the track running until you have it. If you can't do that, stop the track, slow down and ask yourself, what did I want to play? Because when you do that, you stop the eternal playing over jam tracks, making mistake after mistake, rhythmically it's a mess, and then you actually take your practicing seriously. And if you do this, then you will, when you practice over a jam track, you will increase your vocabulary all the time, right? You play something and you stop, and then you fix it, play it 10, 20 times with the jam track and continue. Make a mistake, fix it, stop, fix it, and then continue. We rarely do this, right? And then the third thing is record yourself. You cannot hear what you play because we hear what it is that we want to play in our minds and it sounds perfect in our mind. And then we hear with our ears the actual sound. And those two, the real and the imagined, blend together. And we don't really hear how awful it sounds or how out of time. I do that all the time. I cannot determine how my playing sounds still. It's not a skill, it's not an experience thing. It's simply a matter of a limitation of the human mind. It's the same thing when you're singing, right? You've seen these people perform on TV and X Factor or whatever, and they sound awful. And they don't know they sound awful because they never recorded themselves. So they hear Mariah Carey as they sing and a version of those two, and it sounds amazing, but it doesn't. So record yourself. First of all, the first discipline, practice with 0 mistakes. You have to lower the bar to what are you going to play, but be entertaining anyway, right? Focus on playing something that makes sense to you. Next thing, the next practice method is to practice, and every time you make a mistake, you elevate your game a little bit, right? You take chances, but every time you make a mistake, stop, fix it, play it 10, 20 times, and continue, right? There's a pitfall here that's very common that people don't see, and that is when you stop whenever you make a mistake. Whenever you practice a lick, right? You teach your brain thousands and thousands of times that every time you make a mistake, you should stop. So it becomes like an ingrained habit, really ingrained, because thousands of repetitions, right? So when you start trying to perform in front of people, or you just play over a jam track, you tend to stop whenever you make a mistake. I make tons of mistakes when I play, right? Little notes that don't ring out well, and a slide that goes wrong, whatever, right? But when I'm performing, I don't stop, because I had to teach myself that. I had to say, okay, now the whole discipline when I play is to not stop. So what you do, the first practice method, is don't make a mistake. I don't want to hear it. Just be 100% certain that you don't make a mistake. Play as simple as you need to in order to make that happen. Secondly, you elevate your game a little bit. You try things that you're not completely certain about that you can do with the track, but then you fix your mistake. You stop the track, or you play it again over and over and over again until you got it right. Continue like that. That's so beneficial. Thirdly, you want to break out of the habit of stopping every time you make a mistake, or at least you want to create a different groove in your brain so you can go to that groove when you're performing. And that is to do the same thing. Take a little bit of a chance, but then continue, right? The way you fix your mistake when you push a little bit outside of your zone of total certainty is that you continue. You fix your mistake as you play. So if you play a wrong note, right? You know the drill of that? Right? Instead of your body panicking, what you right? If there's something that you can't finish, it's only in my head that I didn't finish it. Right? But because I heard please. But because I heard something else in my head, I consider it a mistake. So that kind of practice method where we really focus on, well, anytime I make a mistake, I fix it by either pretending it wasn't there. I planned on that, right? And then just continue with your line of association musically, right? Continue. It's gone. It's in the past when you perform in front of people. First one, make 0 mistakes. That's so beneficial. Second one, push a little bit your limits of what you can do while remaining 100% certain. Make mistakes, but then stop, fix them, or just play them over and over again until you got it right with the jam track. Then continue, make another little mistake, right? Very beneficial. The last one, to avoid the pitfall, is practice continuing when you make a mistake. If you do all 3, I promise you, your soloing will really grow from that, especially the first. But that's the performance mode, and that's where we all should be all the time when we perform, because that's also where you're relaxed, you're 100% certain, and you need to cut away that ambitious, I need to play something that impresses me. You're not trying to impress yourself when you perform, or you shouldn't be, because that puts you in a stressful mode, right? Instead, try to play something very musical, and you do that by remaining in 100% control, playing only things that you know how to do.